Welcome in, everybody, to Betting Pros. It's time to place your bets. It is me, Joe Pisapia. With me, of course, is Andrew Erickson. It's Friday. It's week 3, so it's time to talk some props. Who better to talk props with than the prop prophet himself, Mr. Big Pod Energy? Andrew and I are going to go through our 5 favorite prop bets of the week for the NFL. Week 3 is already upon us. Thursday night was a good night. Hopefully you joined us on the live stream yesterday because Bogman and I nailed it. I even almost, Andrew was so close to the real score. I said 31-13, 30-12. So close, Andrew, so close, but they covered as we thought that they would yesterday. So again, join us every Monday, every Thursday, 5 p.m. Eastern live here on the channel. Subscribe, click the bell till it goes ding so you can join us for getting all of your bets in for the standalone games. And Andrew Erickson, today, on top of our prop bets we're going to do, we're also going to do some anytime touchdown scores, which you and I absolutely love. So I hope you brought some good ones for the people today.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to that. I think that that's actually one of the markets that I've had the most fun with so far this year, just from a betting perspective. You know, as someone that comes from a fantasy background, like you're always looking at, okay, who's getting red zone uses, like who's getting snaps, who's getting targets, end zone targets, targets inside the 10-yard line. And that translates. That was the reason we were on Jake Ferguson last week, because the guy led the NFL in red zone targets. And what do you know? He scored a touchdown. It just happened to be the first one. So that was a big hit for us last week, because I know some of my other props did not do as well, but hopefully that steadied the bankroll because that was a longer shot prop.
Yes, and some good ones here. There's some potential blowout games too, which could make things a little bit dicey, but also a few over games I think we're both looking at as well. It's funny, I didn't even look at what the Ferguson anytime touchdown prop was this week. I don't know if you did, but it's plus 250 over at FanDuel right now.
It's probably still a good bet. Like, it's still probably a good bet to just keep making.
Leading the league in red zone targets at the tight end position with 8. Just saying, Jake Ferguson. I did a TikTok about it this week. I don't know if you know that, Erickson. I'm famous on TikTok now. How does that make you feel?
Jealous.
Intimidated.
Yeah.
I'm a TikTok influencer in my 40s. That's just what happens here. But again, we're going to kick things off here. Before we do, just a reminder, if you're watching the show, and I know you are because you're hearing me say these words, drop a comment below, subscribe to the Betting Pros channel, because when you do, you could win a James Cook Buffalo Bills autographed jersey signed by James Cook himself. There you have it. It's a beautiful thing. So go ahead and get that jersey. Again, comment, subscribe, click the bell so we can notify you if you're the big winner. And that's it. That's all you got to do. So Erickson, why don't you kick things off for week 3 for us? Let's talk props. What's first on the list for you to start betting on?
Yep. So my favorite one this week is going to be Jaylen Warren over 2.5 receptions. You get this at plus money over at BetMGM. So running back for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So he has 2.5 catches, 4 straight games. He's including 4.5 per game over his last 2 this season. So Jaylen Warren is technically the number 2 running back on the Pittsburgh Steelers, but he's the preferred receiving back over Najee Harris. And I think that 2.5 receptions is just way too low. They're facing the Raiders this week. The Raiders lead the NFL in completion percentage allowed at 82% because they play this cover 2 shell. They always have their safeties back. And what does that mean? The tight ends and running backs just run wild underneath. If you look at just the teams that have faced the Raiders so far this year, whether it's their running backs and tight ends, it's all overs. In week 1, it was Denver. All their running backs caught a bunch of passes. Last week, James Cook, super involved in the passing game, over. So Jaylen Warren at 2.5 receptions, where he's been over this in 4 straight games dating back to last year at plus money. Joe, come on, man. This is my stone cold lock of the week. Jaylen Warren over 2.5 receptions.
It's one of my favorite ones. Actually, this morning, when I was looking for my favorite prop bets of the week before investing, I saw this on the prop bet cheat sheet, which if you don't know what that is still, what are you doing with your life? I'm questioning your life decisions. But over on Betting Pros, either on bettingpros.com or on the app, you can go to the prop bet cheat sheet. It's going to show you automatically the best prop bets of the week versus the fantasy projections and then the best place to bet them. And I saw Jaylen Warren, I think it was like the second or third one I saw. I was like, oh, well, that's great. Let's do that one. And then Andrew had it in the sheet already. So I was slow to the sheet today. What are you going to do? Things happen. But I've got one for you, Andrew Erickson. I know he only had 4 catches last week, but I'm ready for the 4.5 and the over on Zay Flowers. He had 9 receptions and 10 targets in that first outing. I think this is one where the more time this personnel has with the Todd Monken offense, I do believe the better they're going to get. And I know Mark Andrews is back, but also Odell Beckham. Obviously, the health there is a problem. So Zay Flowers, I think, has a real good opportunity. And I don't know if you guys realize this, but you're getting plus money, big time plus money on this. Plus 130 over at Bet365. And this is why you use the Betting Pros app. This is why you make sure you sync your sports books so you can find these incredible values out there. Because right now, I was looking before on FanDuel, which is where I do a lot of my betting, and it wasn't there. So I went right to, of course, Betting Pros, and I found out there's Zay Flowers. Oh, look at that number. It's a beautiful thing. So give me Zay Flowers. I think he's going to get peppered with targets yet again. I think he's their best wide receiver by a country mile. I've been saying that for 3 months, though, and now everybody's starting to finally realize it. But Vegas hasn't quite caught on yet. So give me Zay Flowers with the 4.5 on the over. Again, that's a plus 130 at Bet365. Andrew Erickson, what do you have next for the people?
Yeah, so we'll just stay on the Zay Flowers train because I also like Zay Flowers overs, except I like him with the receiving yards over 48.5 receiving yards. So he's already hit this in both of his games played this year. So even when Mark Andrews came back last week, we saw less targets. He was still super productive because when he gets the ball in his hand, he's making plays. So he may not even need a ton of targets potentially to go over this receiving yards prop at 48.5. Look, through 2 games, Flowers ranks 5th in the NFL with 31% target share. He's running around on 90% of the dropbacks. He's clearly the wide receiver 1 on the Baltimore Ravens. And the matchup this week, we're going to see some Flowers on Flowers crime this week, Joe. Dallas Flowers for the Colts. I'm sorry, man. Like it's going to be ugly for him. The Colts have allowed the 4th most receiving yards and receptions to wide receivers this season. So Zay Flowers, even if he does not hit on that receptions prop, I think he's still going to go over the receiving yards because he's so explosive with the ball in his hands. And they're looking for ways to get him the ball, designed looks. So, and he can pick up a lot of yards with his abilities. So
and it's not just the screens. It's not just the bubble screens. You saw last week what he's capable of doing. That big catch he had, that is quintessential Zay Flowers at Boston College. Like he used to make those plays all of the time. He can go downfield and get it. I know Derek and I have been talking about him a lot the first 2 weeks of the season on the DFS show, which by the way, you can also find here on our podcast feed. It's not on the YouTube channel. It's just on the BP feed for the podcast on audio only. But again, he's underpriced and I'm rostering him everywhere again because of everything Andrew and I are talking about. This is how you make investments in the week. You see it. If you like it in DFS, you should like it in the wagering market. You like it in the fantasy market. They all intertwine. That's what we're trying to do here for you. All right, so enough Zay Flowers love, at least for now. I'm sure we'll circle back next week and the week after. Let's do another one, and I know my boy Debro loves this one too. Keenan Allen. I like him for 2 here. This game we've talked about on Monday. We've talked about yesterday when we had Joe Lisi on the program. If you missed that, go back and listen. But I don't see how this Charger-Minnesota game is underwhelming in terms of points. Therefore, since neither of these defenses seems to be able to stop anybody from scoring at will, let's go take advantage of the man scheme that Brian Flores continues to run out there, and let's take advantage of Keenan Allen. 6.5 receptions and 71.5 receiving yards. I want to put these two things together. You can get them at minus 104. If you put them together, you can obviously get a plus number on that. So let's do that together. Caesars has this right now. Again, the minus 104 for each of them. So I would be looking at this Keenan Allen prop here because I do believe it's a Keenan Allen day. Now, you could say Mike Williams is the guy who can really go up and beat man-to-man, and he can. But Mike Williams is always a tough investment because you just never know if he's going to finish a game. And that is something that, and you know, we laugh about it like it's facetious, but it's not. It's not because, right. I mean, the clip is terrifying in which he doesn't finish games. So I'm going to go make the investment in Keenan Allen instead. Again, I don't think this total is a problem. I don't think either of these two props together here for Keenan Allen are a problem. So I would just pair them together, get the plus money on them, and that's a very simple way to do it. Erickson, you in with me with Keenan Allen in this big giant total that is still going to go into the 60s, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think that just betting the overs on the Chargers, like that's the only way I feel confident like approaching the Chargers. Like, am I going to bet them to win the game? Like, am I going to bet them to cover? No, like that's been just a painful experience betting on the Chargers over the last 2 weeks. And the only time I could see it being profitable is just betting on the offense and just betting on yards. Like that's where they can deliver, and that's where they're going to come through, I think, here again, especially against the Vikings' horrible defense.
All right, let's continue on here. Just remember, when you're making your bets, make sure that you also join the NFL contest so you can reap all the benefits of that, because all you got to do is make picks. That's it. Make picks, 5 picks a week, 100 for the whole season, and just like that, you're eligible. So go to bettingpros.com/NFL contest, or if you have the app, and I know you do, just drop down in the community tab and go click NFL contest and join and start betting against everybody and have some fun, because the grand prize winner is going to get a JSN jersey. We're giving away BP swag, FP swag. We're also giving away some upgrades for premium services at Fantasy Pros and Betting Pros. So make sure you get in on that as soon as possible and reap all the benefits of what we're trying to do here. We love the community of Betting Pros. We want to continue to grow that, and we want you to be a part of it. So come make your picks, have some fun. It costs you nothing, and it's all upside, baby. That's where, I mean, come on, you're a betting person. Bet on this because it's all upside. You're wrong with your picks, so what? You're right with your picks. Free stuff. Erickson, help the people win some free stuff.
Yes. All right. So we're going to go here with, I'm going to stick with the Ravens. So Lamar Jackson over 7.5 rushing attempts. So this is minus 125 over at BetMGM. So the 7.5 rushing attempts prop this is just a crazy low number. So he's hit the over in 10 of his last 14 games. So far this year, he's averaging 9 rushing attempts per game. He has 12 scrambles and 6 design runs. But 5 of those design runs came last week when we're starting to see this offense kind of come to form. So he's already scrambling a ton. The offensive play caller, Todd Muckett, is calling more design runs for Lamar Jackson because, oh, well, you don't have any healthy running backs. Let's use Lamar Jackson more instead of just giving it to Gus Edwards. Justice Hill, we know, is also dealing with an injury. So I just think it's more rushing attempts for Lamar Jackson. I think he's going to see plenty of usage as a rusher. Again, this is a number he's consistently hit week in and week out. So over 7.5 rushing attempts, I feel like this is just like you're betting on other Ravens here and there. You're betting Ravens to cover the spread. You're betting on Zay Flowers. Just add that Lamar Jackson over 7.5 rushing attempts to a single game parlay. I like it in a lot of props.
Love it. Love it. Let's continue on here with another guy I got my eye on in DFS. I think it's time to take the training wheels off of Javonte Williams this week. Why? Because you have to at this point. Like, the Denver Broncos are in must-win mode here. They're 0-2. They do not want to go 0-3. They've blown leads. Look, Javonte Williams looks good. It's time to go past this number. I know last week it was at 12. I know he's on this pitch count. I think that pitch count disappears this week. 12.5 is the number. You're getting plus money over on DK on this one. So for me, I think this is time to, hey, it's week 3. We waited a couple weeks. We're going slow. We need him. We've got to figure out ways to get this guy the football, and I think he's going to go over 12.5 attempts. I'm not saying it's going to be 20, but I think you're definitely going to be in that 14 to 15 range. I think that's just a necessity right now for the Denver Broncos to get back on track. This is not a good situation for them where they're going 0-2. I don't necessarily think they're going to not come out of this game 0-3. But at the same time, the way that defense has given up leads here in the last 2 weeks, you got to run the football. You got to take some clock out of this equation and do your best here. So for me, especially with the plus money on Javonte Williams, I'm all in. I know Derek and I are going to talk about it on the DFS show. We're recording right after this. Again, that's going to be on the podcast feed. Javonte's in play this week. He's well priced, but also this 12.5 I am in on. Plus money too. Let's go. Erickson, let's go back to you with another prop here for week 3 in the NFL. What do you have?
Well, because I'm the lame one on this show, I'm always going to come with the unders that seemingly never seem to hit because I'm the pessimistic one.
I bet the Drake London under with you last week. I was holding your hand. I thought we'd get it 2 weeks in a row, but we didn't.
So the issue is I've been taking unders on too much talent, right? Too much talent. Not this time. No. Ezekiel Elliott under 7.5 receiving yards, minus 120 over at BetMGM. Number 1, Zeke is dust. So just going to get that out there. He's dust. He's not talented anymore. And last week, he ran a route on 90% of the dropbacks with 0 targets. So this was very different from week 1, where he had 7 targets for like 10 yards. And I was just pulling my hair out watching this game as they continue to feed Ezekiel Elliott in the passing game for 0 production. So they fixed the problem in week 2. They just totally went away from him in the receiving game. But I don't think the books have necessarily caught up to that where like, he had this one game where he had a lot of targets, had a lot of receptions. Like, we can't just make it like half a reception of it putting his line. So right now, the receiving line is 7.5. His reception line is actually 1.5. So I like the under on both of them, but I prefer the receiving yards because even if Zeke gets a screen pass, like, I have 0 confidence he's going to beat me in the open field. Like, he's going to pick up enough yardage to actually get over 7.5 receiving yards. He could catch 4 passes, and I still think he'd fall under 7.5 receiving yards because on this year, Elliott is averaging fewer than 3 yards per catch this season. So I am just pounding the under on the 7.5 receiving yards. Again, remember, the Patriots lead the NFL in passing attempts through 2 weeks. That's because they've been spotting their opponents 2 touchdowns and have had to go into full-on comeback mode in the second quarter. That's not going to be the case against the New York Jets. At least I don't think that's going to be the case. I think they're going to actually establish what they want to do on offense, which I think is a little bit more balanced. They want to run the football. So Zeke, yeah, sure, he'll probably get some rushing attempts here or there, but there's no way I see him going over the 7.5 receiving yards. So I'm taking the under there on Ezekiel Elliott in a game that I'm going to watch, but I'm probably not going to be happy watching it.
Oh, I'm going to watch it. I think any Patriot fan wants to watch them beat the Jets. And if they lose, look, I'm going to be in a miserable mood at 4 o'clock if they lose. I'm just putting that out there. But Zach Wilson's the gift that keeps on giving. So I'm just going to hope that he's a giver. He's going to keep giving the football over to the Patriots. By the way, the Patriots down another corner. I don't know if you saw that today. So he's going to be out probably for the season.
Who's out?
It was a Jones. I just saw it
They have a lot of Joneses.
They have a lot of Jones. I don't know which ones. It was Mr. Jones. It was one of the Joneses, I'm pretty sure.
So is it Marcus Jones?
Yes,
I know he got hurt.
Marcus Jones. Yes.
No, so he got hurt
Marcus
on
Jones. So
on
he's going to
Sunday
be,
night.
they say on the IR, but probably out for the year is what we're hearing now. So there you go. So Travion Diggs out for the year. I mean, just everyone's just practicing too hard. That's what I'm saying. All right, let's get to that same game. I want to go on the other side. I'm going to go with the jet prop. So if I'm miserable, at least I can win some money here with Breece Hall. Breece Hall was chirping. Breece Hall is saying, hey, give me the football. This is the only chance. I'm interpreting Breece Hall for you. This is the only chance we have to win this football game is if you give me the football. Just give me the football, give me the football, give me the football. You know what? I think Breece Hall is right. I think Breece Hall is 100% right. So I'm going to go with you, Breece Hall. 45.5, the over. You're getting minus 115 over at BetMGM. Also, the 8.5 receiving yards, for him too, you can get. So that's a very small number, 8.5 receiving yards. So let's do this. Let's throw the ball to Breece Hall. Let's run the ball with Breece Hall. Minus 110 you're getting on the 8.5 receiving yards number, also at BetMGM. So this one just makes sense to me. So kind of like the Keenan Allen one, I'm going to invest in a player. So I'd bet them both separately and then put them together and get a plus number and put a smaller unit on that. And I think that's just the way to go with these. When you just are in on a player being a big part of a game, you might as well go all in on that. And I think Breece Hall, Keenan Allen, those are the two guys you really want to go all in on this week under those circumstances. So Erickson and I are both into this Jets-Patriots game in terms of investment. Into it in terms of excitement, that's another question. That might fall short. It's 13-10. That's
yeah, that's kind of what I'm expecting the under. I'm expecting, the weather's also supposed to be kind of like iffy with some weird cyclone thing coming on the East Coast, so that should be
it's raining all weekend. It's going to start raining tonight on Friday night in Jersey, and it's going to rain all the way through till Monday afternoon from what I see. So that's going to be fantastic. That means I get to stay home and watch college football. I don't have to coach flag football on Saturday if we get rained out. So that's a plus. That's a plus for me. But anyway, let's talk about some more plus things here. Might not be plus money, but you have a good feeling about your last one here. What do you have for week 3 in the NFL? Go, Andrew.
Yep, going back to the unders. Terry McLaurin under 4.5 receptions, so minus 136 over at FanDuel. So Terry McLaurin basically this year has totaled 6 catches for 55 yards through 2 games when you remove the 1 30-yard touchdown he caught last week. Like, that's the one big play he's had all year long. Outside of that, 6 catches for 55 yards. He has a 14% target rate per route run, 16% target share. So I just don't see him vacuuming up a ton of targets in this Commanders offense. It's really kind of spread the ball out with Sam Howell as the quarterback. The Bills have a good secondary, 6 fewest yards after the catch allowed, fewer than 200 passing yards in both of their games this year. The Commanders had 1 play of 20-plus yards against the Cardinals in week 1. The Cardinals defense in a dome, they had 1 play of 20-plus yards. And a lot of Sam Howell's big plays last week were like screens. That guy just took like 30 yards to the house. So I'm betting on that not happening again against the Buffalo defense. Again, mentioned the weather. That's going to affect this game being played in Maryland and Washington. So I think that McLaurin under, I'm just kind of betting against the Commanders passing game. And I think that because the weather has been in the minds of these teams, this is going to be a Brian Robinson game where they're like, we just want to load up Brian Robinson with as many carries as we can. You don't want this to be a shootout. We don't want Sam Howell to have to outduel Josh Allen because that's when mistakes happen and that's when turnovers happen. So I'm just kind of betting against the Commanders passing game, and that starts with McLaurin under 4.5 receptions.
All right, last one for me is Patrick Mahomes, but it might not be the way you think. I know everyone thinks they're going to blow the doors off the Chicago Bears, and they should, but things haven't exactly gone to plan, I think, for the Kansas City Chiefs so far. Maybe you can blame Matt Nagy. Maybe you can blame the drops. I don't know. I could just blame Kadarius Toney, I guess, at the end of the day. But instead, I'm going to look for a different sort of prop because everybody's on the passing stuff for Mahomes, and they should be. But how about the rushing side for Patrick Mahomes? Can we take a little look at the game log so far this year, Andrew Erickson? Week 1, 45 rushing yards against the Detroit Lions. Week 2, 30 rushing yards against the Jacksonville Jaguars. This week against a terrible Chicago Bears defense, I don't see why he can't crush the number he's got. Andrew, that number is 17.5, minus 110 over at Bet365. This feels like a gimme to me. Like, if you like the Chiefs to win this game with the 12.5 or whatever number you're getting it at, you go ahead, you put the Chiefs, you put this Mahomes together, and I think those are 2 locks where you get it into plus money, and away we go. Let's go. I think this is one of the easiest ones out there, and I just want it. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take this one for Mahomes, and I'm going to stay away from, I think, what's going to be a very heavily bet Mahomes passing market, as it should be, because they got to get on track. But I don't think it's despite the fact that he's still going to get out there in space and make plays. We've seen Mahomes get out there, get out from the pocket. He could pick this up in 2 rushes, just getting flush from the pocket. So for me, this is a lock, my lock of the week. Everyone's looking at the passing props. I'm looking at the rushing for Patrick Mahomes. So give me the Kansas City Chiefs along with this one, and I think you can have a very nice little skinny parlay. I like the little skinny parlays. I don't want too many calories. That's what I want.
No.
All right, it's time to have some fun, Andrew. It's time to call some touchdowns. That's what we love to do here on the show. So you may begin, my friend. Let's look at an anytime touchdown call for week 3. What do you have?
Going to Monday Night Football, Los Angeles Rams. I'm going with Tyler Higbee, tight end for the Los Angeles Rams. So Tyler Higbee has a really good role in this offense. 3rd in the NFL in routes run, 4th in route participation among tight ends. He's just one of 9 tight ends to play at least 90% of their team's red zone snaps this season. Last year, finished 3rd in targets inside the 10-yard line. So the thing that's kind of being overlooked about this Rams offense, like they're running a lot of plays, they're throwing a lot of yards, they're dialing up a lot of passing attempts. They're not throwing passing touchdowns. Like that's the one thing. It's all been going to Kyren Williams, basically. Like Kyren Williams has been putting the ball in the end zone. So if we see a scenario where we start to see some positive passing touchdown regression, we're going to see one of these Rams receivers catch a touchdown. Puka still hasn't caught a touchdown yet. So maybe it's him that catches a touchdown. But the usage for Higbee, specifically in the red zone, specifically how the team has leaned on him in the past in the red zone, Bengals have allowed a receiving touchdown to a tight end for 2 straight games. And given how the slow start for the Bengals, I think it's a chance that the Rams strike first. So I even like the first touchdown score on Monday Night Football to be Tyler Higbee, which you can get at plus 3,000. Like, I like Tyler Higbee a lot in this particular matchup. Bengals allowing the 10th highest passing touchdown rate this season. I think that Stafford's going to throw more than 1 touchdown in this game, and I think that Higbee's been his guy in the red zone. So for me, anytime touchdown call is going to be Tyler Higbee, and I like sprinkling in that first touchdown because I think we could see the Rams strike first if there's no Joe Burrow or Joe Burrow is limited.
I'd love to see Puka finally get a touchdown. I heard, by the way, he's having breakfast with Matthew Stafford, and that's the way to his heart. The man loves breakfast. So Cooper Kupp did this. Do you think if you and I had breakfast with Matthew Stafford,
we did,
maybe we could catch some touchdowns? Be nice.
That would be ideal. I mean, if that's all it takes, like
it seems like all it takes, you know.
What happens at these breakfasts? Like
I don't know, man. It's some serious stuff, man. There's some pancakes and some plays we're gonna review.
Someone needs to talk to Calvin Johnson about this. I mean, like, did they start this breakfast thing back in Detroit?
Calvin was more of a brunch guy, I think. He's more of a brunch guy. But look, let me tell you, man, Puka's got 35 targets, 25 receptions. I can't believe he doesn't have a touchdown yet. I mean, I emphasize yet. Because with that kind of volume, it's just kind of crazy. It hasn't happened. All right. Speaking of volume, on my end here, we're going to go back to that game with Kirk Cousins and Justin Herbert slinging the football all over the place. I went extra credit here. I'm giving you 2 in the same game. TJ Hockenson, plus 170, anytime touchdown scorer. It's beautiful. It's nearly 2-1. I don't know what people are watching here. People are telling you that, TJ Hockenson come to this year wasn't the number 2 tight end in all fantasy, because he was. I know people got off that narrative. I did not. I'm on that narrative. I'm going to be on that narrative for the rest of the season. Jordan Addison's the other guy too. Eventually you're going to try to double, triple cover Justin Jefferson, who, by the way, his touchdown number is minus, so don't even look at it unless you're looking for multiples. But Jordan Addison has been that guy who gets free, gets loose when they're bracketing Justin Jefferson, and that guy can find the end zone too. His number is even better, plus 230 over on FanDuel. So both of these numbers on FanDuel, Addison plus 230, Hockenson plus 170. Give me those 2 Vikings to score touchdowns. And what's going to be a game full of touchdowns this Sunday. Joe,
yes,
go ahead.
If you're going to give 2, I got to give 2 too.
Okay.
I want to give it another anytime.
Is it 2-2 Atwell or just a 2-2,
no,
like a second one?
It's not 2-2 Atwell because we've been talking about this game. I haven't given out a lot of picks for this Chargers-Vikings game. Here's my pick for anytime touchdown.
Let's go.
Donald, Parham, Jr.
I can see
backup
that.
tight end, not last week. So Donald Parham Jr. outsnapped Gerald Everett in week 2. So you're potentially looking at a potential starting tight end who's 6'8", that in week 1 had 3 targets. They were all inside the 7-yard line. He caught a touchdown in week 1. His odds are plus 425. He's the starting tight end for the Chargers, and he's 6'8". People, you can't miss him, and neither can Justin Herbert in the red zone. So I think Donald Parham Jr. for me as a long shot, especially first touchdown, plus 3,000. Again, I love these first touchdown props because they hit it right from the get-go, and you're just on cloud 9 the rest of the game.
You made your week.
You made your week. So I like Donald Parham Jr. a lot. He's a massive red zone role in the Chargers offense. And again, there's going to be touchdowns in this game. So who better than the 6'8" tight end that's now carving out a larger role on his offense?
I noticed it last week too.
Jr.
I had the same observation you did about Parham, but that's a great call by you because that's one that's the dart throw, maybe even DFS too. Maybe we got to get roster him, fade all the big tight ends, look for Donald Parham. Just getting that touchdown.
He's the biggest tight end.
Just
from a size standpoint, 6'8", baby.
True, but from a price standpoint, very cheap. But the good thing is you get your touchdown. You're a tight end 1 for the week. That's it. That's all you got to do. All you have to do is drop a comment below and subscribe to the channel here on YouTube at Betting Pros, and you can win that James Cook jersey. Download the app. Use that prop bet cheat sheet. Use the prop bet analyzer. Make your bets smarter, not harder. That's what we're trying to do here. You can follow us too at bettingpros.com/Joe/Erickson. And that's about it. Man, I can't believe this week flew by. So go enjoy week 3, everybody. Go place your bets. Make some money. Have some fun. And we'll be back again on Monday to do it all again. That'll do it for us. But the story of the game goes on. For Andrew Erickson, I'm Joey P. We'll see you next time, kids.